gas car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. This is Iven Streckel, owner of Frontier Motors. And for the next half an hour, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the car business, a little bit what's going on in your neck of the woods here in Pensacola, and also what's going on at Frontier Motors as far as how we can help you when you are in the market for the car. A lot of things are happening in the auto industry. Most people know what's going on with the new cars because it's on the news every single day about the microprocessor chip shortage. And it hasn't changed since the last time I did the show a couple of weeks ago, that it's actually getting worse. And they're up to almost 10.5 million cars lost because of this. And that's just year to date. That's not including what happened last year. So what that means is the car sales are really good, but the supply is really bad. And that's not just in car sales. From what I hear, it's everywhere, including grocery stores, homes, no matter where you're going these days. And the bad thing about having a shortage of new cars is that's where we come in, because we buy somebody else's new car. Whatever's a new car today is going to be used tomorrow. And we make money when we buy a used car, and we would love to buy your used car. So if you bought a car and you can't afford it, our whole claim to fame is by being able to buy the car by paying more than wholesale but less than retail when buying it from a private individual like yourself. We're going to head and market that car. We're going to, I never call profit a dirty word. Everybody knows that. Any business has to make a profit to stay in business. What sets us apart most of the time is the amount of profit that we have to make. Being a small dealer, we do not have a multi-million-dollar mausoleum for a dealership. Go up and down Car City once and take a look at those buildings, which I am very envious of because they're absolutely gorgeous. They even have indoor showrooms where they can put the car inside. But the problem they have is it has to be paid for. That all comes out of the overhead of the dealership. The lower your overhead, the less you have to make to stay in business, which obviously translates into a less expensive car. We've carved out a niche for ourselves over the last 26 years by being the premier independent used car dealership in Pensacola, and we compete mostly with new car dealers. So if you're thinking about either buying a brand spanking new car or maybe one that's 1 or 2 or 3 years old, that's really what we specialize in, including some new cars. I bought 10 new Ram trucks a couple of weeks ago. They have 5 miles, 10 miles on them. So there are times when I can buy a brand new vehicle. I just have to sell them as used because we're not a Ram dealer, for example. I've got other cars. I bought a Camry the other day. I think it had 50 miles on it. Well, I'm not a Toyota dealership, so I have to sell that vehicle as a used vehicle, and the warranty clock is ticking. But that's why it's going to save you money. So again, I'm getting off track a little bit talking about the chip shortage. And that's how this little thing started, is that new cars are right now at an all-time high price-wise because of the shortage of new cars. Supply and demand is kicking in. Do not be surprised when you go to a new car dealer and you see an addendum next to that new car window sticker that says MSRP, which is manufactured suggested price. They put an addendum on there called a marketing adjustment, and that can be as much as $10,000 or $20,000 over the. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it, when I say that some dealers are charging $10,000 over a window sticker, and the average right now is about $5,000 over a window sticker. So what does that mean to you if you want to buy a brand new car? So you go to the car dealer, the window sticker is $30,000, they're charging you $35,000. So you're either going to pay that because you want it, or you're going to say, yeah, I'll just wait till these prices come back down. Almost the same thing with a home. If you're in a home market right now, I feel bad for you, unless you have a home to sell. But let's say you're a first-time home buyer and you want to buy a home. It's not a good time right now from what I'm hearing. Same thing with buying a new car. So the gap between new and used is still really there. That's where we come in. So let's say we have a 2021 on the lot. It's got 5,000 miles on it. Our whole claim to fame at Frontier Motors over the last 26 years is showing you in writing the difference between our car and the brand new one, or if they happen to have a used one on the lot also. Because we stock so many cars, sometimes we'll have multiple cars in stock that are like the one you're looking for. So it relates back to that microprocessor chip shortage that I was starting off with, is that if the new ones are extremely high because of that, which they are right now, and I don't see it ending in the near future. People ask me, well, how long is this going to go on? I can see this going on for another year at least before they catch up with supply. I guess there's a couple of chip manufacturers that are going to open new plants, and they should be in production within about 12 years, where they're going to get hopefully handled, at least on the chip shortage. It's not just the chip shortage that's a problem. Shipping is a problem also. I just got a new chart with the shipping costs, not just how long it takes to get the vehicle here, especially if they're coming from overseas, if they're coming from China, if they're coming from Japan or Korea. It's taking a lot longer to get those cars here, but also the pricing has come up. I see that Lexus has increased their shipping charges by, let me be sure I got the right one, by 17%. So the average that I'm seeing, it's gone up between 17 and 25%. And so the shipping charges, which used to be around $1,000 per car, are now around $1,250 to $1,300 per car. And that, of course, affects, again, the bottom line. That has nothing to do with the marketing adjustment. But so there are other things that are stymieing the delivery of the new cars to the dealer. But again, you go to the dealer and you'll be surprised on how low their new car inventory is. There was a major dealer that I looked at on their website the other day that normally has 300 cars in stock, and they were at about 50 cars in stock, which means that those 50 are probably some kind of morphidites that nobody would buy, because those are the last ones, the leftovers, so to speak. And I see that a lot of times at the end of the year. I was a new car dealer before we opened Frontier Motors. I was a new car dealer for 20 years. And at the end of the year, the ones we had left over were always what I call them morphidites, because they're weird. They're the ones with the weird colors, the weird equipment. Back then there used to be cars that didn't have air conditioning back in the old days, or maybe they were manual transmissions where you only sold 10% of manuals. Well, every once in a while somebody would want a manual, so you'd stock some. They were leftovers, and they're usually the bad colors, vinyl seats, no split bench seat. And again, I'm dating myself here as far as some of the equipment that is now standard on cars. Now the features that are sold out are things like safety features, the panoramic roofs, two-tone paint, the chrome packages, sport packages. Those are sold first, and what's left over is what you see on the dealers' lots now. So the only other way you can get a new car these days is to order one out. And then the question is, what about delivery time? And they'll tell you 6 to 8 weeks, but you can't sue them if you don't get your car in 8 weeks, especially if you have your car pre-sold. Let's say they tell you 8 weeks and you say, well, I can make do with my mom's car for a little while. I'll go ahead and sell that car to Frontier Motors. They're offering me a really good buy for it. The dealer wouldn't even give me that much for the car that I'm waiting for a car for. So I'll sell it to them, and all of a sudden the car doesn't make it. And I've had multiple people have come in and said, I'm done with the new car dealers because they promised me a car at a certain time and they don't get it to me. I know, because I ordered a new Ford Bronco 15 months ago and they told me it'd be 8 months to get it. And here it is. Next month it'll be twice as long as they originally said. I still don't have my Bronco. And I know that from a Ford dealer, happened to be a friend of mine, and he was getting a deal on one. So that's why a used car dealer is buying a brand new car. Because I tell you not to buy a new car. But if I get a deal on one, I can drive that car and hopefully drive it for 6 to 8 months and not lose a bunch on it. Used cars or new cars go down in value. Consumers Report said 2 years ago, they came out with the first study that they said the first year depreciation on the average, this was 2 years ago, was 27%. Back then, the average new car cost $36,000. If you multiply that out, it equates to $9,200 depreciation in the first year alone. That was the average. Now, obviously, if I bought it $9,200 less, I can't sell it for that. I wouldn't make a profit. But even if I mark the car up $2,000 or $3,000, you'd still be saving somewhere between $5,000 to $7,000 on that 1-year-old car. That's changed a little bit with what's going on right now in the industry because of the shortage, but there's still a major gap. Some of the expensive cars, the Highline cars, these are cars that are anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. The gap is even greater because obviously if you have a $100,000 car, if it depreciates 27%, that's $27,000. That's not going to happen with a $25,000 Corolla. It might only drop $4,000 or $5,000 in value, but enough for most people to sit up and notice and say, let me go over to Frontier Motors and let's find out how much I can save, especially if you have a trade-in. One of the things I always tell people is that we sell every make and model. So if you've got for example, if you're looking at a Lexus and you have a diesel pickup truck, we'll give you top dollar for that diesel pickup truck because we do a good diesel pickup truck business. Well, if you go over to the Lexus dealership in Mobile, they don't. They have used cars, but they're not selling heavy-duty trucks off of their Lexus lot. So you get less money when you go to a dealer that doesn't sell everything. they'll farm that vehicle out to what they call a wholesaler. A wholesaler buys the car for less and then take it to sell for somebody else that sells those types of vehicles for a profit. You can cut out that middleman by bringing it into Frontier Motors because we don't specialize in any make and model. We sell just about anything. It can be a sports car. It can be an SUV. You'll see there's a Denali GMC with 14,000 miles sitting behind us. That's a vehicle that you can save $20,000 on the price of a brand new one. We've got a Lexus that we sold today. It was a $101,000 Lexus that had 16,000 miles on it. We sold the car. I don't know exactly what the selling price was, but it was about $80,000. So that car was about $21,000 less, and it had either 14 or 16,000 miles on it, still under factory warranty. Now that's a pretty big savings in my book. Plus, don't forget, you also save the taxes on that. If it's a $20,000 savings, if taxes are 7%, you save another $1,400 on taxes alone. Our fees at Frontier Motors are less than most dealers out there, so you save another $400 or $500 in the dealer fees that dealers charge. So that's why I always encourage everyone to get an out-the-door price in writing, not just verbally. They can change their mind, or they can do the "I didn't say that," or they can write it on the back of the business card and you come back and that salesman's not working there anymore. So I tell them to get a worksheet out and write it on a worksheet just like it was official. And it doesn't mean that, it doesn't even have to be signed, but at least you know you have it because it's a worksheet. You didn't buy the car. But you want to compare apples to apples. The other way we can help you out is that if you're looking at a used car somewhere else, we can run the original window sticker of that car. And the reason that's important because you want to know all pieces of equipment. And a dealer might be telling you something that's on the car that's not there. Like, for example, if it's got air shocks or if it's got adaptive cruise control, something that you might not be able to physically see until you take the car for a test drive. And there are dealers that maybe they don't lie, but they make mistakes. So you want to make sure that you compare apples to apples. So I run the window sticker on my car. I run the window sticker on their car. What if both the prices are the same, but I've got $5,000 more equipment on my car? Now I become the better deal. Or let's say that my car has got 5,000 miles on it, the new car has got no miles on it, it's the same price. You say, well, I'm going to buy the new one. But the new one doesn't have any equipment on it, and I've got $5,000 or $6,000 more of equipment on it, especially if it's safety related that can save your life, like adaptive automatic stop and cruise control, the automatic braking system, pedestrian braking, blind spot, auto tilt mirrors. All these safety features, to me, can save your life, and they're not standard on a lot of cars. I know that Toyota, for example, they've gone to automatic cruise control being standard, but their blind spot is still an option. You have to buy the safety package. With a Wrangler, for example, you've got a safety package and you've got safety package 2. So they split that up and you buy both safety packages. It's like over $3,000 for 2 safety packages, and that can make the difference in the bottom line pricing of a car. And a lot of times you don't know that because you're buying it used, so you don't have the original window sticker. Well, now we have apps for that, and subscribe to the apps, and I can tell you exactly what the original window sticker was. I can do an appraisal on your car within 15 minutes, even after a test drive, because of this phone. I've got an app that can scan the ID number. I can run the Carfax/history report. I can find out what the average selling price is. I can find out what the book price is. I can find out what the auction price is. I take the car for a ride around the block to make sure the brakes and everything works fine. I check all the equipment, the electric equipment, make sure everything works. And then I give you a buy bid on that car or a trade-in value. So if you're going to buy a brand new Lexus, for example, or like I had one of my friends do the other day, he went over to Anderson Subaru and bought a brand spanking new car. Well, I appraised his trade-in, and I ended up with the trade-in because I wanted it. And it makes a difference. It happened to be a Volvo car that I had sold him a couple of years ago. He wanted a brand new Subaru Ascent, and he wanted a Touring, and they happened to, by coincidence, had the right color in stock. I actually had one, but it wasn't the right color. So he ended up getting a brand new one, and I ended up with the trade-in. So that's how we can work with you to save you money when you're in the market for a car. And the free appraisal, and especially the free Carfax reports. I had a customer the other day that called and said, I found a better deal. You had a little Sentra that you had on the lot, but I found a better deal somewhere else. I said, what? Where's that? So she told me where it was. I pulled up the car. She said, was it a gray one with 13,000 miles? Yeah. So I ran the Carfax report on it. It had a salvaged branded title. It was a rebuilt. And then she had another car that was a Nissan, used Nissan Altima. And by the way, it wasn't a Sandy Sancy Nissan, so don't get mad at me. It was a small used car dealer over on Old Palafox that was selling this car. It happened to be an Altima, and it was a great deal, price-wise. And you know what do customers do? They look at the car. Oh yeah, it's got 30,000 miles on it. It's a 2017. It's only $13,000. That's $4,000 cheaper than the average. Well, why is it? Because there's something wrong. Dealers aren't stupid. They're not going to take $17,000 cars and sell them for $13,000. They could take the auction and sell it for more than that. This also had a salvage title. And of course, when I asked, didn't you ask the dealer for a Carfax report? They wouldn't give me one, which is really interesting. It's not by law that you have now legally, just so you know, folks, a branded title is something like, for example, that's a rebuilt, it's flood damaged, it's an odometer problem, maybe it's not the right odometer, it's a lemon law buyback. These are what we call branded titles. A branded title has to be disclosed before delivery. If it's not, you've got a lawsuit happening immediately. All you have to do is call the Transportation Division and Motor Vehicle Department, and they will make sure that you get your money back. We run history reports on every car that passes through our doors, every single one. And sometimes I'll have a customer that'll trade in a salvage title car. We just don't sell them here. We sell them to somebody else that will go ahead and sell them. But it has to be disclosed. Now, just so you know, for your information, folks, a dealer does not have to tell you if a car's been in an accident. So you've got to keep that separate. A rebuilt title is different than the car that's been in an accident. Now, cars that have been in major accidents have what we call diminished value. And if, by the way, you get into an accident tomorrow morning and it wasn't your fault, let's say somebody broadsides your car, they get a ticket, you are entitled to diminished value. Frontier Motors is the only dealer that I know of in Pensacola that will give you a diminished value letter on every make and model, on anything. It doesn't matter if it's a Volkswagen, a Ferrari, a Corvette. We'll tell you what we think the diminished value is. This is not a formula. This is just our interpretation of what the new appraisal would be if you've been in a moderate or major accident. If it's minor, in most cases, there's not going to be any diminished value. But if it's moderate or major, you're going to have diminished value. Just imagine you were buying a $50,000 Corvette and it's been in a major accident. Number one, would you still buy it? Number two, if you would still buy it, why would you buy that car when the guy down the road has one that has been in an accident? Well, you would buy it for one reason. It's a bargain. But how much of a bargain does it have to be? $1,000, $2,000? Or $5,000 or $10,000. Well, usually if it's a major accident, it's going to have to be a pretty hefty dollar amount for anybody to convince you to buy a car that's been in a major accident. And of course, then you want to know, where was it fixed? Does it come with a warranty? Are the parts warranted? Did they use the original parts? There are other questions that go along with that. We don't buy cars like that, but we do take them in trade. And one of the things about us at Frontier Motors, everything gets disclosed before delivery. We put a Carfax report in every single car. We unlock all of our cars every morning. So right now we've got 270 some cars on the lot. They get unlocked in the morning so you can browse at your leisure. If you go in the glove box, you're going to see the Carfax report. So you can read through it. You can find out how many owners it had, find out if it's an accident. It's all right there. Every once in a while we might have a customer that's interested in the car and they take it with them. So if you happen to find a car without one, let us know and we will run another one and replace it. But we run one when we put it on the lot every single time. You'll also be surprised when you come on the lot, the type of cars that we have on the lot and how clean they are. So many times I get compliments from customers that say, man, I can't believe this is a 2-year-old car with 20,000 miles on it. Or if it's used, because a lot of people have that perception of a used car being, kind of nicked up and scratched up. The tires are a little edgy. You open the door, it smells a little bit like an animal or perhaps like smoke. And that's not what we put on the lot. I take a lot of pride and pick out almost every car that is purchased at Frontier Motors. I have buyers that go to the auctions. They double check it to make sure the car doesn't smell. The auction does a pretty good job in doing a condition report, which they tell us if it's ever been painted on, on, if it has a cracked windshield, how the tires are rated. These are all things that are done. I still send my buyers down there just to double check everything. So when that car comes back here, I want the car to look like new. I don't like taking older cars that are nicked up and scratched up and refurbishing them. I want a car that has been taken care of from the day it was new and that has a lot of life left in them. And that's the type of cars that you're going to find at Frontier Motors. We also do something different than most car dealerships. We put a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the car, on the engine and transmission and transaxle. So if the car, for example, is 2 years old, you're still going to get a total of 10 years, which means you get an additional 8 years, up to $100,000 on the odometer at no charge. We have an insurance policy that covers that. So if the motor blows up in 7 years from now, other than a $100 deductible, you're going to get fully reimbursed for a motor on that car. And that gives you just a little peace of mind that we're not selling you a car that's got any issues with it. Most of the cars that we stock are still under factory warranty. So like, for example, if you buy a Hyundai from us or a Kia, they come with a 5-year, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty. So if the car is 1 year old, you still have 4 years of warranty. A Lexus comes, or most of the Highlines come with a 4-year warranty. Honda and Toyota, which are supposed to be the best cars, they come with the worst warranty. They give you a 3-year warranty, which is very interesting. Honda and Toyota are always so proud of their cars, but they don't back them very well. Why does Hyundai and Kia, Mitsubishi back their car with a 5-year warranty, but Honda and Toyota doesn't? I have no idea. Let's talk electric a little bit. Tesla is always in the news. I don't know if you know this, but Tesla, I guess now is the highest I don't want to say highest rated, but they're they're worth the most amount of money. They're worth more than Toyota and General Motors. This is Tesla. I don't know how that is when they don't sell that many cars, but they're making a niche for themselves in the electric car market. Now, if all you know this, Tesla only builds electric cars. They have 3 or 4 different models. They're all electric, and they have just now beat Mercedes for being the 3rd top selling brand, luxury brand in the United States through September. So they beat Mercedes. Mercedes through September has 213,000 sales. Tesla has 230. Lexus has 245, and BMW has 259. So they're not that far behind. Now, one of the things that I've done, I've sold some Teslas. Haven't hardly made any money on them. All the ones that I've gotten have been beautiful cars under factory warranty. I've had to give them away. So in my mind, we're not going electric yet, even though most of the manufacturers have said by 2030 they're going to be all electric. Tesla, 245,000 cars, by the way, when they're selling 12 million cars to 13 million cars in the United States. That's not a lot of cars, is it? But it's a lot of cars when you consider just a luxury brand. But one of the things that's always been a question is, what about reliability? Well, there's a new article out in this morning's Automotive News that says Tesla's vehicle quality is off the charts, literally. In other words, they don't give you the information. It's very interesting. Where does Tesla rank on quality? We really don't know, because it plays the different rules from those of its rivals. How do they fare in the standard quality measures? And so J.D. Power is trying to get the information. They normally get it through Experian, and they get it through a couple different sources. Well, Tesla does not give them the information. So in 15 of 35 states, they do get it in 35 states, but the other 15 states, for example, which one includes California, they need, J.D. Power needs permission from the manufacturer. Well, everybody gives J.D. Power permission to survey all of their customers, except for Tesla. And well, where do they sell the most amount of Teslas? Well, it's in California, because they give you a lot of incentives to buy an electric car. So interesting that when J.D. Power went further and got it from the 35 states, it said that Tesla averaged 231 problems per 100 vehicles through the first 90 days of ownership. That's an unofficial, of course. That would have put Tesla 31st among 33 brands. In other words, they surveyed 33 different manufacturing brands, and Tesla was the 3rd to the bottom as far as initial quality within the first 90 days, which means, folks, they have a lot of problems within the first 90 days. They did a little bit better on vehicle dependability, which dependability and reliability to me are the same thing. I always call it reliability. After 3 years of ownership, Tesla would have ranked 30th out of 33. In other words, one of the most unreliable brands out there, but yet one of the hottest brands out there. They're breaking all kinds of records. And one thing that they do mention is that in the customers that bought the Tesla, how were their owner satisfaction? Guess what? It was number one. Even with all the problems, even with all the reliability problems, even with all the service problems they have, when I mean service problems, don't forget, when they're selling more and more cars, where is there a service center? Does anybody know, other than if you own a Tesla? They don't have dealerships. I don't know if you know that. Tesla sells directly to the public. They're in hundreds of lawsuits right now throughout the nation. Tesla is, because there are a copyright infringement, not copyright, but new car dealership infringement rights. So what the new car dealers are saying is that, for example, Chevrolet can't sell direct, Ford can't sell direct, Jaguar can't sell. They all have to go through dealerships. So there are infringements on the dealership. So the manufacturers are suing Tesla, saying, wait a minute, why can they sell direct, but Ford can't? It's illegal for Ford to do that, but Tesla can. So they've won some and they lost some, but it's to be determined. So guess what? There are no Tesla dealerships. So you buy a Tesla and something goes wrong with it, which, by the way, happened to me about 5 years ago. I bought a 2013 model. Back then it was still under factory warranty. The charger wouldn't work anymore. And I called up Tesla. They give you it takes an act of God to get them to answer the darn phone back then. Maybe it's different now. But to make a long story short, they said that they'll be there in about 2 weeks. They'll send a guy on the road over to the house and fix it for me. That wasn't acceptable to me. I want the car fixed. Can you imagine you bought a car that's a $100,000 car? This was an S model, it was a $100,000 car, and it won't charge. I had 5 miles left on the charging thing, and they tell me they'll be there in 2 weeks. Fortunately, I had 270 other cars to choose from, but most people don't. So it was an issue, and that's my thinking of Tesla. I'm sure it's better, folks, for those of you that have a Tesla. I would love you to get with me. Shoot Frontier Motors an email. I'd like to hear a little bit about what's going on these days with a Tesla. The last Tesla I sold was about 5 months ago, and I haven't heard back from the customer. Folks, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I want to remind everybody what we do. Free appraisals. We help you get a deal. If you're going to buy brand new, we'll tell you what to pay. If you're going to buy used somewhere else, we'll tell you what to pay. We'll give you an appraisal for your trade-in within 15 minutes to get a second opinion what your car should be worth. We will give you a free Carfax/history report for that car that you're thinking of buying. Or if you want to sell yours, let's say you want to sell it yourself, you don't want to sell it to us. Number one, get a figure from us, because you might be surprised that the figure that we'll give you might not be that much different than the one you're thinking you're going to want. So we'll make it easy for you. Of course, the nice thing about us is we'll write you a check. We're not going to ask you to finance it. We're not going to ask you to give us a warranty. We're not going to ask you, we're not going to tell you that we've got a trade-in. So it's a much easier form of getting rid of a car to sell to Frontier Motors. These are just some of the things that we do. By the way, if you've got somebody that's going to be in the market, tell them, hey, look up Frontier Motors. This show will be on YouTube. Just Google Frontier Motors on YouTube, or just type it in on YouTube and we'll pop up. Also, we have the show on our website. We also have it on Facebook. So we'll give the people that are interested in car a little bit of a better idea of what we're all about and what we offer to the people. We're not here to grab your wallet and sell you a car. We're here to make sure that when you are ready to buy a car, that you're going to get a fair deal. You're going to get, I consider a better deal, which is not always the price. It might be a car in better condition with lower miles, a better color, and more equipment. And that, I think, is what's really important. It's not always the bottom line price. But with 275 cars in stock, you'll be pleasantly surprised how often we have the car that you're looking for sitting right on the lot. And that's all about. If we don't have it, hopefully within 2 or 3 weeks, we can find the car for you. We do this without a signature, without a deposit. As far as finding the car of your dreams, we can normally help you out within a couple of weeks to find the car that you're looking for. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.